PSA had this 41 card order in their hands on February 2nd, finished it February 26th for a total of 16 business days.
What's up, everyone? Back here. Third PSA submission preview video. Third one. We're doing some crack and release. They've only committed minor felonies, so crack and release. We're letting them out with no bail, no matter how many little old grannies they beat up. Herbert, this was a 9.5 SGC, cracked it out, sent it to PSA. It turned into a 9. Maybe a little bit of spotting on the surface, like a faint print line running a little bit down the card over here, a little vertical action. You can't really see it that well. Be a slight horizontal print line up in here, really faint, super clean card. Relatively. Need my grader to agree with that though. We got a bunch of other cards here. I'm just going to crack these out, try to speed things up. Last time I did this for video number 1, kind of made the video be a little bit too long. We got a couple Jordan, Skybox 9s, Favre. These cards will look familiar from the first video. I talked about that. Aikman, Barry, Kevin Durant. And this was one of those cards that I alluded to in that first order that I sent in, the 24 card order that I was trying to get crossed over, but I left them in the SGC cases. So they made sure to punish me. That Durant had a Tatum. Help if we can show you the grade there. 9. The 10 crossed to a 9. McCaffrey, same thing. 10 crossed to a 9. This Herbert, a 9.5. Haven't tried to cross that one yet. That one I think we should put with a different order. I don't want to put 2 of the same acetate cards in the same order. I'll put that onto PSA submission preview order number 4. So there you go. I'm twisting my arm, making myself do a 4th video. I will crack this open though, and then show you what it looks like, and then we'll move that over to video number 4. Pretty clean Jordan. Take a look at the surface there. We'll show you the centering first. Against my ratty hands. Just taking a look there. Don't see anything up with it. It's funny because when I submitted a large 409 card order, which these were part of, had to take the hammer to this one a little bit more. This order, which I'll link a card to, maybe more so the review of that order, I sent in a ton of these Jordan cards. Show you the surface. I sent in about 50, and then with the Kemp and Peyton rookies, sent in about 30 each of those, and my gem rates were pretty decent for the Kemp and the Peytons, but the Jordans, the gem rate was a lot lower. I want to say I ended up getting maybe about 10 gems out of the 50 or so Jordans I sent in. Oh, spotted it. There we go. There's a little tiny white speck. Maybe you can't see it because of the light. There it is, right by my finger. I'll zoom in on that, of course. Oh, 9, baby. With the Kemp and the Peytons, again, can't recall exactly, but I want to say my gem rate was somewhere closer to 50%, maybe even more. Granted, with the Jordans, I was being a little bit looser with what I sent in because at the time, and I talked about this in that video, Jordan 9s of that Skybox card were still going for $200, which is crazy. Favre. Oh, and one thing real quick. I beat the heck out of these corners with a hammer. If you're doing this, my sage words of advice, have it in a graded card sleeve, pound the heck out of the corners, and it makes things a whole lot easier. Stuff doesn't go flying everywhere. It will go flying slightly within your immediate vicinity, but not everywhere. In that 409 card order, I had sent in a couple of these Favres. Both of them came back 8s. The only thing I could really think of, because the surface is clean and everything, was perhaps the centering. If you go off of the top border here versus how much room is down here. You saw this Aikman in the first order, as I said. Same thing here, centering a little bit thicker over here, thinner on the left border. My opinion, still within 60-40. Show you that surface there. Trying to be better at putting the card more over here. So when I edit and I zoom in, you get more of the card and less of me. Barry 9. Show you the surface there. I'll show you the back too, since I didn't do that with the Aikman. Wayne Fonts with that ear-to-ear grin. Barry Sanders the GOAT. It's not McCaffrey. Like I said, I had left it in its SGC 10 holder, and they were like, nah, you're taking a 9. We'll take a look at it though. There may be some surface scratch or something that wasn't noticed. Now, a lot of these cards, you'll see they're not really They're not high end, obviously. Nothing more than $100, $200 for a 10, if that. So is it worth it? Well, maybe it's more of an ego play for me. Just to see. I'm curious to see how many of these cards in that first order and this third order that they had as 9s, especially the stuff that crossed over, how many of that stuff will come back in a higher grade or the same grade? Maybe they'll punish me and give me a lower grade. They'll be like, hey, I remember this guy. Surface here, a couple slight little nicks. See if you're even going to be able to pick it up. Very slight. So I feel good about submitting this, not saying it's going to get a 10. Speaking of 10s, have you seen his lady? Woo! Eyeballs just popping out of my head like an 80s cartoon. Wow. The mask, all of that stuff. Wow. 10. He's certainly accomplished on and off the field. Jefferson Tater. Clean surface again. I thought I saw a little something in his elbow area right there. Hopefully the camera's picking it up well. Try to bring it in. But it looks like it's just the way the card is. The card design looks pretty good. Again, a little print lining action there, of course. I feel pretty comfortable with all of these cards I've looked at so far. The Durant that got knocked down 2 grades, so we'll see. There's got to be something there, a dent or a scratch or something that was missed originally, you would think. Now, again, of course, not saying these will come back as higher grades, but based on what I've seen, that they won't come back lower. Centering, pretty good on that one, as you can tell. I don't really see anything on the front with a slight print line on the back, which we'll take a look at. You tell me if I'm missing something here. Surface spotting, you see, assume that's something to do with how the card is made. Surfaces of cards always have a little bit of that, the spotting on them. I don't know. We'll see. That's all I'm going to say about that one. And the last, the Herbert 9.5. As I said, going in with the 4th order. It's on the desk right now, so I figure why not send it in. I guess that would be the one good thing I would say about SGC with the 9.5 grade. When you have acetate cards like this or chrome-based cards, there are those slight imperfections. Gives you the opportunity to not knock it down an entire grade. But that said, an SGC 9.5, most of the time, value-wise, the same as a PSA 9 anyway. So that's why I would go ahead and crack a card like this. A Herbert SGC 9.5 versus a PSA 9. I'll go ahead and look at the comps, but my feeling is they're probably about the same or within 10% or so. You see anything on this card? I don't know. SGC, I know SCV really hates on those guys. He really seems to think that they don't know how to grade. I'm more of a guy like how Neo is, how he would say in his videos, where each company's got issues. Nobody's perfect. Graders, subjectivity, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. It's hard to get some consistency. So we'll see when I send these in. Like I've been saying, I'm trying to keep these orders smaller, about 35-ish, 40 cards. This order, after these cards, you're going to see some more Otanis, some more Bowman Chrome University, and maybe try to mix in some basketball cards. Some of the usual, some different stuff. That's what I'm going to spend the rest of the night doing. So you'll either see the next part of the video right now, or this will be separated into 2 separate parts if the video gets a little bit too long, like I did with the first submission preview. And what I'm going to do, of course, is, like I did with the first one, second one as well, I didn't mention it in that video, but cards that I think will 10, going to call those as such and then check my gem rate on those just to check my eye. Because not everything we send in we expect a 10. If you're sitting there getting a 20, 30, 40% gem rate on things you think are going to gem, that's a problem, and you need to get going. You need to beat feet and get out of the hobby. So stuff you think that should 10, realistically, if you're being honest with yourself, you should be able to hit pretty high on those gem rates. Again, subjectivity and grading, but if things you think will 10 are coming back in the 70, 80, 90% range, then I think you're doing okay.